How's it going, everyone? My name is Stephen Michaels. I am joined with Phil Robinson. This is the Just Win Recap Show. So
Ooh,
here we go. The Raiders defeat the Ravens 33-27. We have a fun show for you. What's up, Phil?
man, let me tell you, as being in the house for the first game ever, first official game with fans, it, on Monday Night Football, it was crazy. That stadium is beautiful. There's no comparison between it and the Coliseum, even though to the seasoned veteran, they look a little bit. It looks like a combination of this Coliseum and Roracle, but much better. But the amenities were awesome. Stadium food was much better.
Well,
Sightlines were
obviously.
were beautiful. You could see, and there wasn't a bad seat in the house.
So since you Phil was there, everyone, he went to the game. So tell us, like, so how expensive was it, like to eat there?
Oh
Did you buy a beer?
yeah,
How
yeah.
much was a beer?
Your tall can was running for $15.
Wow. I mean, you're not going to see me in Las Vegas anytime soon, but $15 per beer, that's pretty much what they go for, though, at Fenway, just to let you guys know. At Fenway Park, which is it's a dumpster. But that's how much they charge for their warm piss beers in that place. So, I mean, I guess it's, I mean,
we got cold Modelo's at 24 ounces.
Yeah, like, you're gonna pay $15 either way, so it's not that bad. Yeah, I know it sounds bad on paper, but remember, like I just said, if you go to a Red Sox game, it's literally $15 for a giraffe beer that is warm and disgusting. So I'd much rather have a cold beer in a much better place, a much better stadium, than, so $15 isn't that bad. I thought it would be like 20, 25 type bullshit, but that's pretty good. And so anyways, you said there's like, the stadium was great. You can get a good view from pretty much anywhere, right?
Yes.
That's awesome.
The torch is humongous. You can actually see, it actually goes all the way to the first level, and then they cut a hole out in the floor for it to go up through the second level. And that view of downtown, of the strip of Las Vegas, is pretty sweet. And it's literally like 3 blocks over from the strip.
So what's up with the section where, like, it looks really lame, where they had the couches there, but by the, what's up with that? Because they had a couple. I know you weren't watching it; you were there, but they showed it a couple times on TV, and these people that were there did not look like people who watch football. They're like, sitting on like these couches. I don't know what this is, but like, did you see that part?
No, I didn't. I didn't get a chance to get down there to see that. From
Yeah,
what I saw, yeah, but
I have a feeling the people who are there aren't really Raider fans. They're just rich people who have money. You know what I mean? Like that's the way it looked like on TV. And I believe, if I don't know who's on that Monday Night Football, correct? I can't think of
Brian Grease and Louis Riddick.
No, for the pregame show I'm talking about. I'm just gonna take for some reason I'm thinking it's Keyshawn Johnson. One of them actually made a comment about it, like, a joke about it, basically, like, when they showed the picture of him, they're like, oh, a little different from the black hole, like, but yeah, I think that was just him. But from the TV side of things, looking at the stadium, besides that little part, it looks awesome. It looks like a good fan experience. It looks like it's, all Raider fans pretty much there. And it looks like, a regular football stadium. You know what I mean? So, I mean, obviously they're going to have their little VIP. You got to remember, they're in Las Vegas. They're in a tourist area. So they're going to have these little things. It's just some Raider fans will have to deal with. But that's that that little part is not going to take away from the whole game day experience there. I mean, that's a state of the art stadium.
No, without a doubt, without a doubt. But now that we got that little tidbit, because you know what I'm saying, there's nothing like having boots on the ground, so that when we bring you this Just Win recap experience, you know that we're bringing it to you live from on the scene and through hours and hours of tape watching to make sure that you all get the truth. So, moving on to topic number one, Stephen, in your opinion, who was the Raiders' top offensive performance?
Well, I am gonna have to go with I'm gonna go with Brian Edwards just because of the fourth quarter. I mean, this guy was amazing. Now, yes, it's easy. I could say Darren Waller because obviously he was the best on the stat. You know, he had 10 catches, 105 yards, and but he also missed a couple. But Brian Edwards is a guy who everyone was talking about in the off season, and this guy, he only had 4 catches, but he was averaging 20 yards every time he caught it, and he had 80 yards. And this guy was just amazing when it counted, and that's what you want out of a wide receiver, by the way. When it all comes down to that, and you got someone who's clutch like that, he showed that he can play in big moments. And just a real quick one, I got to give a shout to Hunter Renfrow. That guy just always gets open when the Raiders really need something, when they really need a first down. Hunter Renfrow is right there for you. So who do you got, Phil?
I'm gonna just shock the world right here, and I'm gonna tell you that the Raiders' top offensive performance came from Derek Carr. And while he had all the numbers and on the stat sheet that you could possibly want to see, pass for he went 34, 56 for 435 yards, 2 touchdowns and 1 interception with an 89.5 rating. Said that was a great performance, and especially the way he turned it on down the stretch. But I want to highlight this performance because in the first half, he was absolute dog shit. He was awful. He was missing wide open reads. The second play of the game, I was sitting behind the offense. Now, I can tell you guys personally, it's one thing to be able to critique a game watching the TV screen. It's quite a different experience to be right behind the offense at the field level and see it on the field. Literally, I could see it. I saw it from behind the line, same line he was behind, from further back. And I saw that the safety had bailed out. Ruggs was running by. He didn't even have to throw it to Ruggs. He could have just threw it somewhere in the general vicinity, and Ruggs would have beat the defender to the ball and scored any way you slice it, as long as he kept the ball in bounds.
And what about Darren Waller? I mean, that dude's wide open. I mean, he was force feeding Waller way too much, in my opinion. But he had one play. Darren Waller was so open. It was insane. And for a guy who was forcing it to Waller so much and just locked in on that guy, he doesn't see Darren Waller uncovered. I don't know how that happens. He was definitely rusty. It was not looking good for him in the first quarter and in the second quarter. And listen, the one thing you can't take away from Derek Carr is like I always said, my problem with Derek Carr is he has to be consistent. That's why they go 63 and they collapse. He has to prove it to me that he's a franchise quarterback, because this one win isn't going to do it for me. I'm not going to get suckered into that again. There ain't no way. But I'll tell you one thing, this is something I always say about Derek Carr, even though I have my gripes. He is clutch when it counts. I don't know what it is with that guy, but when the game is on the line, he really comes through most of the time. Now, he did throw that stupid pass to Willie Snead, and luckily, we'll get to that in a little bit, but he had another opportunity, and he took full advantage of that when the Ravens threw out an all-out blitz on him, and Zay Jones was wide open. But yeah, I mean, I gotta give it to Derek Carr. I mean, the guy sucked for 2 quarters, and all of a sudden he turned into a monster. But let me tell you something, that never happens without Brian Edwards.
No, it does not. No, it does not. So that takes
All right.
into topic number 2, Raiders' top defensive performance. You want to start us off?
Sure. I mean, this is pretty, in my opinion, it's pretty obvious. It's the Mad Max Crosby. Maxwell. My Maxwell. This guy balled out. He's going to have a great year, dude. He really is. And, he's in the best shape of his life. He's been, working out like a madman because, as you guys know, he's not doing anything else. So he's just been working out, and it shows. You can put him on the field, and he just does not get tired. And he was fantastic in this game. He gets 2 sacks. I mean, he got 4 QB hits, by the way. He hit Lamar Jackson 4 times, but he gets 2 sacks. I mean, the guy was just all over the place. The guy doesn't stop. Like, the motor just keeps going. I mean, Latavius Murray had 1 run. I think it was Latavius Murray. Had 1 run, and it looked like Crosby wouldn't be able to get there. And somehow he just kind of went all the way around, and still ended up getting Murray down. And Latavius Murray only got, I think, like a 2-yard gain after all of that. Even though it looked like Max Crosby would have nothing to do with this play, he just never gave up. And the same thing when he sacked Lamar Jackson. It looked like, Crosby was getting pushed to the outside. He wasn't going to be able to turn the corner. He just kept going at it. And he tripped up Lamar Jackson before Lamar Jackson could take off again and run for another 70 yards like he kept doing against this team. But Max Crosby looked amazing. And he is also the AFC Defensive Player of the Week. He definitely deserves it. The guy is really, really good. And let me tell you something. Hopefully, Yannick Ngakoue can, hopefully this injury is not too serious, because they feed off each other. Max definitely feeds off him. People got to remember Yannick Ngakoue is a, shit talker. He gets these guys going, and Max feeds off that. So even if Ngakoue is not, let's say like sacking a quarterback all the time or, doing stuff, Max is feeding off that. He's feeding off the other guys on the offensive line. He really likes the guys he's playing with this season. And I think he's going to, when he had 10 sacks was rookie year, I think he's going to go over 10 sacks this season. I mean, he's already got 2. It's only week 1. So who do you got?
I'm going to touch on Max too, just off of what I saw. Gus Bradley is about to work magic with Max's career. The way that he's playing the run and squeezing down run gaps, keeping contained. I think that some of the QB hits where he didn't sack Lamar Jackson were better than the sacks that he did get. But what's most impressive was the fact that he was able to run with Lamar Jackson. Because for as much as Patrick Mahomes likes to scramble around, he's not as fast as Lamar Jackson. But Max was able to take an angle on him and keep him from running a bunch of times, and he was just a monster out there. So I mean, you really stole my thunder with that one. But I'm going to go ahead because I got a backup that's equal.
Hang on, I just want to say one thing. Well, one thing real quick before we get off Crosby. I just want to say too, Max Crosby in this offseason is about to get paid.
Yes,
this guy's gonna get a big deal. Yes, I mean, if he continues to play like this, he's gonna get
paid. Okay.
Yeah, he's gonna get a big payday. Okay, yeah. Go ahead.
All right. So after we talk about Max, I need Mr. Jonathan Abram to come down, stand up front and center. And I need to tell everybody that I owe this man a debt of gratitude and some degree of an apology, because we've all been talking a gang of shit about him and how he's about to lose his job and how he's not going to be able to, he's got to come out here and he's got to do something. And I'll be damned if he didn't do exactly that. He was all over the place, but he was giving you quiet energy. He was giving you energy that was under focused energy, focused on stopping the ball, making good tackles, much better angles. He probably had the second play of the game when he came out and he punched that ball in overtime out of Mark Andrews' hands when he was across the first down marker right before Lamar Jackson fumbled the ball to give it back for the go-ahead score.
Mm-hmm.
But he was decent in coverage. There were no glaring weaknesses that I saw to his game, and I think that if he continues to move forward with this coaching staff that he has, that this is going to be all right. He's going to be all right. I really like him and Moreg. I like this defense as a whole overall, but I think that if I had to put my finger on who had the best game besides Max, I would say probably Abram.
And I think, should we bring it up now or later about, well, we are forgetting the hero of the game, but we can talk about that now, right? Or do you want to talk about it later?
Carl,
Yeah.
come on down.
Carl Nassib, please, and knock on wood if you're with me. Stand up in front of everyone. Listen. Yeah, listen, Yannick Ngakoue goes down, right? I mean, and Carl Nassib is in there. Let's put things in perspective here. The Raiders were going to cut this guy last season. They ended up doing it. They ended up, messing with his money. He was a healthy scratch pretty much almost all season last year. Then he comes in this year, he was really on the bubble. There's no doubt about it. If Clinton Farrell wasn't in the dog, if Clinton Farrell was a good defensive end, Carl Nassib would not be on this roster. It's just the way it is. This guy, he comes in for Yannick Ngakoue, and when it looked like everything was going to shit, when Derek Carr throws the pick in the end zone after we think the game's over, and everything's going to hell, and the Raiders need a miracle, basically, because the next point wins the football game, and the Ravens have the football. Carl Nassib, dude, forces a fumble on Lamar Jackson. I mean, that is just like, you can't ask for a better story. Like, if someone was writing a movie like that, you can't ask for a better ending if you're Carl Nassib. You know what I mean? Like, he literally made the play of the entire game.
Yeah.
I mean, he is the reason why the Raiders ultimately got a chance to win that football game.
Yeah.
I mean, if Carl Nassib is not on that field, the Raiders probably don't win, guys. Despite, it looks like they, won already, and they had to go back out there. So, I mean, you got to give kudos to Carl Nassib. I mean, for real, I hope he could play like that all the time. I really do. And now I hope he can actually get like pressure and get some like sacks, and you know what I mean? But if he can force fumbles, I'm all down for that too. If he can't get in the backfield too much and get sacked, but if he's hitting the quarterback while he's running and making the guy fumble, or the running back fumble, the Raiders need it, because as we know, last season what really hurt this defense is lack of turnovers. They were terrible. Now they get off to a good start with that. And remember, that was one of the things going into that game, the Lamar Jackson and the fumbling. The Raiders knew that. So we'll go to topic number 3.
Topic number 3. After week 1, they came with a victory, but that victory came at a price. Here are some key injuries from the Raiders. I'll read off the list, and you just give me your thoughts about it, for not only the Raiders, but the Steelers as well. So they conducted a walkthrough Wednesday, and Divine Diablo has an ankle injury, but he was full go. Brian Edwards had an elbow deal, but he's a full go. Cleve Farrell with his back was full go. Jonathan Hankins with his knee has a tweaked knee, but he was full go. Richie did not participate. Alec Ingold has a fibula issue and is limited. Josh Jacobs was a DNP with his toe ankle. Andre James has an elbow issue. He was a full go. Kwiatkowski got a concussion and did not participate. Dallin Levitt, the hero of the game, has a hip deal.
Did
Mariota,
you just said Dalian Levitt?
yeah, I said Dallin Levitt. I was
Yeah.
being facetious. Mariota has a quad issue, and he still did not participate. Carl Nassib excuse me. Carl Nassib has a pectoral and a toe issue and did not participate. Yannick with the hamstring was limited. Denzel Perriman has a hip deal and he was limited. And Roderick Teamer did not participate with an ankle deal. Ben
Well,
Roethlisberger and Juju were held out for the Steelers, and then they have a linebacker and a defensive tackle who were both limited.
yeah, I mean, we'll see how it goes. Today, it's Wednesday. We all know that, typically on Wednesdays, especially when you play at Monday night, Gruden is known for. I mean, the Raiders have been doing even before Gruden. They like to rest guys on when, you know what I mean, to give them some time to rest. It doesn't mean like they're not practice. They could be, in the sauna doing strength and conditioning, things like that. But yeah, it does concern me with Yannick Ngakoue. We're not gonna fully know. We do know Gerald McCoy is out for the year. The Raiders signed Clinton Dix, by the way, to their practice squad. So McCoy, he's out for the year. So is Denzel Good. That's not good. So those are two bad ones, especially Denzel Good. Gerald McCoy, obviously he just came. I feel bad for the guy, but I'm really concerned about Yannick Ngakoue. We need him on the field. The Raiders have a ton of injuries. Josh Jacobs, I don't, this guy wanted to play very badly. He convinced the team to let him play, and then convinced the doctors, and then the guy gets hurt. So wow, that's a lot of injuries they have, and they have a very tough game coming up. And I just hope these injuries, we already know two are really bad. I hope Marcus Mariota's injury is not that bad. To me, it didn't look like a quad injury at all, by the way. But whatever. Hopefully he's not that bad, and hopefully Yannick Ngakoue is not that injured. The other guys, listen, they all played in the game. They were any of those guys actually taken off?
No, I don't believe so.
Yeah, so like I don't know how serious. So, like I said, it's Wednesday. On Thursday, I think that's when we will really know. We'll see either, if limited to me is pretty much a go, in my opinion. So we'll see if they're limited or full. If they're out still on Thursday, I would be a little bit concerned. I really would, and then if they're out again on Friday, then obviously things are bad. Obviously things are really bad. But tomorrow is going to be very important for that injury report. It really will be. So, and like I said, they lost Denzel Good and they lost Gerald McCoy because they both went on the IR. So the Raiders obviously now that they can sign some players, they sign Clinton Dix, probably because Teamer has been, I don't know what's going on with that guy, but Clinton Dix is on the practice squad, but they can activate him if they really need him. But he would have to learn that whole system, learn everything. So we shall see. What's your thoughts on all these guys?
Losing, like you said, losing Good was not good. That was not good at all. That leaves us with Colt Miller as the only holdover from last year's offensive line. By week 2 of the next season, the Raiders have almost completely swapped out their entire offensive line. Now, having the benefit of going back over and rewatching it, they did some things to help themselves out, and I don't think it's going to be a huge issue moving forward. I think as long as they can gain some consistency, we can work on Leatherwood with his hugging problem,
Oh
and
boy.
and watch. I'll lay into that in the final thought, but like you said, it's Wednesday. These guys had a day off yesterday, and this is probably an extra day off for the veterans and guys who got a little bit more issues than the other guys. But the real time to pay attention to the injury report is usually about Friday or Saturday.
Yeah, and you might want to move your microphone a little bit. You're getting a little static. It's static when you talk. You can still hear you though, but it gets all static when you start talking.
Right on.
But anyways, yeah. So yeah, I pretty much echo what you're saying. You know, we're gonna know pretty much. You know, I'm not that overly concerned. You know what I mean? It's not like you know, Brian Edwards is out, Darren Waller is out. It's not like that, but you know, I really think, you know, Yannick Ngakoue is a big piece. And do I think they can win without Yannick Ngakoue? Yes, because of Max Crosby.
They
You know,
did it. Yeah, they just
yeah,
did it.
I know. That's what I mean. So I think they can totally win without him, but it's good to have him. I'm more concerned about the offensive line, but like you said, we'll get to that next. So, all right. So next topic.
Next topic is give me your evaluation of the coaching of week 1, offense and defense.
All right. I'll start this one up while you fix your microphone because you're static again. So anyways, the coaching, I gotta say that this defense, Phil, looks so much better this season. And I know it's only one game. I get it. It's only one game. And a lot of people put too much stock into the week 1. I mean, that's been, you know, that's, you know,
It's
being
just
a
how
dead
it
horse.
goes.
But
Yeah, it's just how it
yeah,
goes.
but I mean, you can tell. And listen, I wasn't at training camp or anything like that, but you know, just from what I, you know, spoken to people and you know, just from little videos I see and things like that, and just from talking to the few players that I know on this team, I can tell you that this defense is way better than last season. The talent alone is better, which makes the coaching a lot better. Now, Paul Gunther, in my opinion, is probably one of the worst defensive coordinators I've ever seen in my life. I mean, he was awful. Gus Bradley seems like he knows how to get the best out of his players. Jonathan Abram looked like a lost boy last season. Like he didn't know where he was, what he was doing. He had, you know, the guy didn't know anything. You know what I mean? And all of a sudden, look at that. Gus Bradley, like you mentioned early, finds a role for this guy, which I think this is the perfect role for Jonathan Abram. And then when you look at what he did with this defensive line, remember, they're going up against the Ravens. You know, I mean, the Ravens are a good team. People seem to forget that. I mean, this is a team, I believe, that went 11-4 last season. This isn't like a terrible team. I get it. They didn't have their running backs, but at the end of the day, does it really matter? Because Lamar Jackson always ends up running, you know, always ends up being the leading rusher anyways. So the Raiders, in my opinion, especially in the passing game, they look way better than last year. Casey Hayward, he comes in, he looked great. I mean, the coaching looked a lot better. Now, I will say on offense, it's the same guy, you know, it's John Gruden. So you know, I can't, it's hard to judge on the offensive side of things because, you know, I do think they were going to Darren Waller way too much. And, you know, is that by design or is that just Derek Carr? Now, you know what I mean? Just being a little bit nervous. To me, it felt like watching the game, by the way, Patrick Queen scared the shit out of Derek Carr.
Yes, he
I mean,
did.
it was, yeah, I mean, you can kind of tell by just, I encourage everyone, just even go watch if you can watch a condensed version of the game, you can see that Derek Carr, they showed it a lot on TV, Phil. Like Derek Carr like points to the guy and like they show the opposite team, you know.
Yeah.
And, like Derek Carr's eyes were like locked on Patrick Queen a lot, you know, and like a lot. Like it was almost like he was the only player he was worried about, you know, blitzing and things like that. So, you know, well, I don't know about offense right now. I'm gonna wait for that because I can't really judge. I will say that the Raiders did a lot better, you know, in the red zone. You know, I think John Gruden was calling better plays. They weren't executed good enough in my opinion. And that offensive line does scare me. That's the only reason I think Derek Carr, when he tried running it in from the 1 yard line for a touchdown, there's no reason why Derek Carr can't do a QB sneak for a touchdown on a 1 yard line.
I'm pretty sure he got in, but they fucked him.
Me too. But needless to say, he didn't get it. I mean, it should have been convincing fashion that he gets in there. So, anyways, I'll go to you. I mean, like I said, I can just go by the defense, and from Miles to Bradley to the whole coaching staff. I mean, they on defense these guys are just so much better. The scheme is better. I liked how Bradley did a cover 3 a lot, and then goes back to the cover 2, cover 3, goes back to the cover 2, goes back to the cover 2 at the end of the game, because they were getting burned a lot with Lamar Jackson using his legs in the cover 3. So they go back to cover 2, and that's where, they pretty much set the tone there, and Carl Nassib got that big fumble. But I'll throw it to you now.
No, we could go and we could talk about the offense, and I'll talk about the offense since you went defense, and say that I felt like there were when they came out with the scripted plays, they were poorly executed. There were many opportunities that were left on the field that were not converted, and for what reason I don't know why. Or actually, I do know why. It's because they didn't get any work in the preseason. And what you look at the injury list that I just read off, and that was what they were trying to avoid. So now you're in a position where, well, I mean, and let's speak strictly hypothetical here. You've had 2 guys go down for the season in the first game, which usually happens in preseason anyway. You've got a bunch of guys who are nicked up and got bruises and little owies, or NFL owies, who are still going to play, of course, but just through the normal nicks and aches and pains of being in the NFL. Now,
but that's why they should play a series or 2 in preseason so they can get that out of the way.
Yes, and
go ahead
and be on heading into week 2, be on the path of healing up and body adjusting to being hit, instead of having to go take another week or 2 to complete that process in the regular season. But what I liked more than anything was I liked seeing Derek Carr take control of this offense and take it into the spread. Now, initially, I thought that they were going to have to go jumbo and try to muscle up on the Ravens, but that wasn't going to work. It didn't work at all for them. The run game was actually abysmal as well as the blocking held up in the passing game. There were some. But defensively, it was a joy to watch. It's like they all knew what the plan was. They were all on the same page. Guys were in their spots, and the only time they really gave up a play of any type of explosion was on those specific cover 3 beaters, or those specific plays designed to beat the defense that was on the field. And teams get that. That's why you play the game. No team is going to be perfect on defense, especially if you stick to a scheme and the offense knows what your scheme is. But
yeah, and we also got to remember, I mean, most of their big plays where they got beat by were Lamar Jackson running. I mean, that's just it's going to happen to every team. So, I mean, but you know what I mean? Lamar Jackson always runs for a lot of yards. So, I mean, the Raiders
they kept him under 100 and out of the end zone. So even with him running wild, that was still a good defensive performance.
Exactly. I mean, they did what they did, and they did what they had to do, and that's keep him out of the end zone. Yeah, he's going to pick up these big yards, but it's going to I don't care what defense you have. Lamar Jackson's going to do that. He does it to everyone. But the Raiders defense were that good where they kept him out of the end zone. They didn't get burned like they would have last season. I guarantee you, if this was last season, the Raiders defense, Lamar Jackson would have scored 7 touchdowns himself running the football. I guarantee you. So, yeah, kudos to let's hope it continues. It's only week 1, but it's looking good early, especially for this game. And the we got to remember Ravens are a very good team, and the Raiders, they beat them. So, like we say, just win. So let's get right to it. Number 5.
Final thoughts of week 1. What are yours?
Okay, you want me to go first?
You're up.
Okay, I will. All right. Final thoughts of week 1. First of all, it sucked Mariota got hurt. There was going to be more packages for Mariota, and I can't wait for him to be healthy. Hopefully he does get healthy, because I want to see that. John Gruden is going to do exactly what the Saints do with Taysom Hill and all that thing, but now they have Marcus Mariota. That's why they re-signed him. That's why there's a no trade clause in his contract. They promised him field time to be playing in the game, and he is going to play this season. He is going to be on that field. And when you have him on that field, you guys seen it. The guy peeled off a huge run. I wish we got to see him more, but unfortunately we didn't. Another thing, this, like I just mentioned before, I know it's just week 1, but we got to remember, this was a Raiders team who were, 8-8 last season. John Gruden has yet to have a winning season. They are going up against a Ravens team that is constantly, either in the playoffs constantly. Lamar Jackson, one of the best quarterbacks in football. They have a very good defense. There's no doubt about it. And yeah, I know they're missing the running backs, like I mentioned, but I don't think that played a huge role into this. This team, this Raiders team, just looks better. Now, the only thing I have to say is about, Derek Carr does have to spread the ball around early. Hopefully we can chalk it up to Russ. Hopefully that's not going to happen anymore. And I did like that Derek Carr in the 4th quarter took matters in his own hands and started to audible out of plays that you could tell were already called by John Gruden. He was audibling out of those plays. He was making the right decisions, throwing to Bryan Edwards. That's got to continue. That has to continue. Bryan Edwards is a beast. This is a guy who is on the verge of being probably one of the best wide receivers, definitely in the AFC West, if they give him the football. Derek Carr must do this every single game. You can't force it to Darren. I know Darren Waller's awesome. We get it. But you got a lot of other guys who are more than willing and able to catch passes. I mean, what about Zay Jones? He has the speed. Henry Ruggs. Bryan Edwards, Hunter Renfrow. You got to use all of your weapons. And my last thought is this. Alex Leatherwood was a little shaky in this game. That concerns me a little bit. They put a lot of help his way, a lot of help. And, he was a little bit shaky, and he got away with a lot of holding, by the way. And that's something that the Raiders knew, just for your guys' information. The Raiders knew this. In the SEC, that was a thing that was going around, that Alex Leatherwood would hold a lot, and he got away with a lot of holding calls. But yeah, he was holding a lot, and he's gotta, hopefully he can get better. It was his first game. He is a rookie, but I just don't want another Clinton Farrell bust. I don't want another repeat of that. So hopefully he gets better, and it is a big victory for the Raiders in front of you and all the fans. That was awesome. To watch the Raiders do it in front of all the fans and beat a good team, it's just amazing. So give me your final thoughts, Phil.
All right. Well, I'll start with Leatherwood. Now, I went back and I watched the tape, and in running situations, he's phenomenal. His run block, and he gets to the second level well. He stays on his guy and drives them down the field. That's not a problem. But knowing that TJ Watt is coming up this week, it is a bad day to be Derek Carr. Real bad day to be Derek Carr. He's definitely going to need Foster to come over and help him out. And or he's going to have, I think what they're probably going to end up doing is going more to the spread, because based off of what they have, especially with that line that I wouldn't trust to hold for long periods of time, only because they're all relative unknowns at this level. And towards the end of the game, the speed rushers were really causing Leatherwood problems. They were just running around.
Yeah. He had a rough go. I mean he held up, but I mean he did have a rough couple patches there throughout the game.
Yeah, yes, he did. I think he'll be fine. I think he's probably for maybe not quite as far along as Miller was in his rookie year, but I think that he'll be fine once he gets used to the speed. But he's definitely got to work on his lateral movement and moving his feet. Definitely got to do that. But continuing, what the defense is, I expected Gus Bradley to get this defense fixed. Then you look at all the turnover that they had, and everybody's crying about what do we do without Gerald McCoy. I was like, personally, I think they kept going without missing a beat. Darius Philon is going to be that guy that everybody gets to know a whole lot more of, because he is that dude down there on the defensive line.
And Solomon Thomas, I don't think we got to see what Solomon Thomas can do just yet. You know, it's only week 1. We're gonna see that.
Yeah, for sure. Especially with the injury to Yannick. I think that in Yannick's absence, and everybody's made a lot of statements about a charity case and why is Carl Nassib on the roster. Well, guess what? You just found out why.
Yeah, he earned it.
With the proper direction and a scheme that actually works, Carl Nassib was generating pressure coming off the edge. He looked like the guy that Mike Mayock traded and paid all that money to, because he delivered right away. And if without Yannick, how do I feel about what they'll be fine. You run your combination of Nassib, Kuntz, maybe mix in some Farrell there if they decide to hang on to him, and they'll be just fine. They'll be able to roll that for a couple of weeks, at least long enough until Yannick hopefully he can get that hamstring healed up and get back out there, because Yannick and Max is going to be something special as long as they can both be on the field together, because Yannick was screaming off that edge. He ran by the lineman so quick, that dude couldn't believe that he had just ran past him that fast.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. The defense was. There's no words to describe how much better.
There's not enough time.
No.
We could literally talk about this defense all day long.
Yeah, I mean it's amazing, and it's a good thing. So basically, the final thought is this: I mean, the Raiders looked really good. We can't, it is only week 1. I'm not going to fall into that trap. They were 6-3 2 years in a row and fell apart on it. So we got to take each game at a time. You know what I mean? We got to take each win at a time, and we'll be here on the Just Win show every week, throughout the week, talking about this. So hopefully every single week we're talking about wins. And we're talking about how this team is so much better every single week than last season. That is, the goal here. But my final thought is this: the Raiders did exactly what this show is called. They just won the game. Just win. That's all I wanted from them. I don't care what their car stats are. I could give a shit. I only care about winning, and they did it. And they did it, like I said, in front of all the fans, which I thought they needed to do to get off to a good start like that. Since the AFC West, they're all 1-0. Now the Raiders are 1-0, and they got a big opponent coming up. But we will be talking about that show in 2 days or whatever. We'll be breaking down that show right here on the Just Win show. So we'll talk about that game. But that's my final thoughts. The Raiders, I mean, definitely was the best game of the week. Definitely best game on week 1. And it was a wild ride. And the Raiders, man, they beat the Baltimore Ravens. They shocked the world. So that's it. So that's going to wrap it up for me and Phil here at the Just Win show, or the Just Win recap for today. We will be back in a couple of days to talk about the Steelers, where we'll have 5 topics going through the big game against Pittsburgh. It's going to be a tough one, but we shall see. All right, Phil, do you have anything to plug before we go?
Nope, just win show. And as always, keep an eye out for your unfiltered truths. Check out my unfiltered truth page on Facebook. I'm going to be putting up all my pictures and videos from my trip to Allegiant Stadium. I also have my Phil's 2-minute drill on Twitter, which I just jump up there and give you a quick 2 minutes on what's going what's going on immediately with the current events and breaking news. And yeah, short of that, the only thing left is the Just Win show, beat Steelers.
Yep. All right. And I will be doing the Raiders Daily podcast, the public version, tomorrow, where I'll be talking about this game and whatever else I talk about, wherever else goes through my crazy brain. And other than that, I will be in the best group in the world, the Raiders Daily Elite. So that's where I'll be. And then, of course, doing the Just Win show with my buddy Phil. So we will see you guys in a couple of days. For Phil Robinson, I am Stephen Michaels. We will see you guys later. Just win, baby.